Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining me today to our latest Awesome Animals lockdown lesson. We are talking today about something which I think is really, really important to discuss, but it's kind of hard one to discuss as well. And that is when our pets die. Because when we are pet owners, if we're lucky, our pets will live a long and happy and wonderful life. But animals don't live as long as people. And most of us are going to come up to a point at some point or other where we're going to have to say goodbye to our animals as they come to the end of our lives. Hi, Freya. Thank you for joining us. And so today I'm going to talk with you guys all about what happens when our pets die, why they die, why it's important sometimes that we help them to die, how vets do that, how you might feel about that, and how we can honour their memories and make sure that we always remember them with fondness and happiness, although obviously we will feel very sad as well. So if at any point during this talk today you get too upset to carry on, then please just press the cross button and get rid of me. Maybe come back at a later stage and watch it. You may not think that you need to watch it at the moment. If you've got pets that are young and healthy, that's amazing. But this will stay on my Facebook page and on my Instagram TV and on my YouTube forever. So if you ever get to the point where you maybe are having to make decisions like that for your pets, it will always be here. This talk will always be here to help you. And as always, if you want to say hello, hi Ellie, thank you for commenting. Please do if your parents or guardians say it's okay, then please do comment and say hello. And if you've got any friends who you think might like this, please let them know. Please share it. That would be awesome. Right, so I'm just going to start to share my screen with you guys. So here we go. So when our pets die. Now, this picture is actually my dog, Millie, and I had to put her to sleep. So she died and I helped her to die just last week. She was 17 years old. She had had a wonderful life, but like a lot of Labradors, she was struggling with her legs and it got to the point where it wasn't fair to keep her going anymore. We're going to discuss things like that. The other thing you need to know, again, if you find any of this upsetting, please just turn me off. I will not take it personally. But the other thing you need to know about this is that all the animals that you're going to see in this talk have all passed away. They have all died. And I asked on a veterinary forum for people to share pictures of their animals that I could use in this talk. And I got loads. And that's what I want you to really take away from today, is that even if our pets die and they leave us, they never leave our hearts. They never leave our memories. And we can always keep things like photographs and pictures to remember them by. And so everyone in this talk is no longer here, but they were loved, desperately loved by the families that owned them. As always, I'm going to look to the side every so often to just see who's here and who's commenting. Okay, and turning the volume down, which I always forget. All right, Isabel, you're here, and Anya. Oh yeah, Laura, it was sad that we lost Millie, but it was a good thing, and I'm going to describe why that is as well. Okay, right, so why do our pets die? Why do they have to die? It seems so unfair. But of course, everything dies. That's very sad, but it's how nature works. Animals, people, plants, trees, everything eventually dies. Nothing, unfortunately, lives forever. Some pets die because they're very old and their body still simply wears out. That was kind of what happened to Millie. Some die because they have a specific illness or a disease that they can't recover from. Maybe their organs fail, so like their kidney or their liver. If one of your organs like that starts to fail, your body can no longer keep going. Or maybe they had a disease like cancer, which sometimes we can treat, but sometimes we can't, and sometimes it does, the cancer wins. And sometimes they die because they have an accident. And I think that's probably one of the worst ones to deal with, because you're not expecting it, you're not prepared for it, you're not thinking about it. You know, maybe your cat goes out one day and gets hit by a car, or your dog runs away, or, you know, lots and lots of accidents happen. They're nobody's fault. You mustn't feel guilty. But sometimes they do die suddenly like that, and that's very hard. Most pets, though, come to the end of their lives because they are euthanized by a vet, somebody like me. It's a big part of my job, and it's a part of my job that lots of people say to me, it must be the hardest part of your job. But actually, it really isn't, because to be able to stop a pet from suffering from hunger or thirst or pain is really, really important. And it's a part of my job that actually it's something I I don't enjoy it. That's not quite the right word, but I value being able to do it hugely. It's really important. And euthanasia is the word that we use to describe when we help pets to die. And it literally means a good death. Euthanasia means we give them a good death. We give them a quick, painless, peaceful death. There is no suffering or anything unpleasant involved at all. And that is something really, really important. Some pets do die at home by themselves suddenly, every so often, people come down to the basket in the morning and find that they've passed away in the night. But that isn't always necessarily a good thing, because natural death sometimes can be long and drawn out, and it can involve your pet feeling very miserable for quite a long time before they finally do die. So I don't generally recommend that people don't let that happen. I'd much rather that their pet was euthanized and they had that good death. And again, sometimes pets die suddenly in accidents. So it can seem a bit strange, but as a vet, I've dedicated my life to helping pets, to making them better, and to keeping them healthy and well. So it can seem a bit strange that a large part of our job is also euthanizing them. But to be able to help pets stop feeling pain, hunger, thirst, struggling, or suffering in any way is a really, really good thing. And if we make that decision for them, it won't stop us feeling sad. It won't stop us feeling, grieving for them. But it is something that is a good thing. Because remember, our pets don't understand why they're poorly. Millie had sore joints. She had arthritis. And she didn't understand that her joints were bad and her legs hurt. She just knew that she was in lots of achy pain. So they don't know why they feel pain or they feel poorly. We do, and people do. So that means that we can explain to them why they're being treated, why they maybe can't walk quite so much. But our pets don't have that. So we kind of have to do that level of thinking for them. But every pet, their illness and their situation is different. So every pet, every family, every owner like you guys is an individual, and the path that they travel to the end of their lives is very different. But here are some of the common reasons why we euthanize pets, and you guys may have been through that yourselves. So, for example, like Millie, they might have had a problem for a long time. We call those chronic illnesses, long-term illnesses, and it can no longer be controlled. So Millie had arthritis. She was on loads of pain relief, loads of medication, and that medication made her life a joy. It made it livable. It took all her pain away, and it meant she was able to do all the things she loved. She could go for walks, she could play, she could do everything that she wanted. But eventually, her legs got weak and the arthritis got worse, and the pain got more, and I could not stop it anymore. And that was the point when I said, my love, it's time. Sometimes they have an illness that needs medicine, but they won't take it or find taking it too stressful. Again, our pets don't know why they're poorly. They don't even sometimes know that they are poorly. But a lot of when pets are poorly, it means that we have to give them medicine. Sometimes that's tablets or liquids. Sometimes that's things like injections if they're diabetic. And lots of pets will be quite happy with that and they'll be okay. But some of them hate it. And if they hate it lots and we really struggle to get the medicine into them, but without that medicine, they're going to really suffer and be painful or poorly. Again, we have to say, well, is it fair to treat you if you find treatment really, really difficult? Or is it going to be better to let you die at this point because we know you will die eventually of this disease? The other reason sometimes that we have to make decisions like that is because of the cost. And that can make you feel very guilty, but it's still a very valid reason. Maybe they, like I said before, they have an accident and they do survive it, but their injuries are really major. And the healing period and what we would have to do to fix them is a huge, big thing to go through. Now, if a human is in a car accident and is very badly injured, of course we will fix them because we can explain to them and they will understand why they have to stay in bed for months and months and months, why they have to have lots of different operations, why they have to go through all of that process. But our pets don't understand that. And sometimes it's not fair to put them through that because they will find it too stressful, too confusing, and too difficult to cope with. Or they're very old and ill and their body is just worn out. Sometimes, a lot of the time in my job as a vet, I don't make a diagnosis. I don't put a name on it. I don't say this animal has got arthritis, or they've got this kind of liver failure, or they've got that kind of kidney failure, I just say, look, they're really old and they're at the end of their lives and just everything is wearing out. And that means that their lives are a struggle, they're painful, they're thirsty, they feel poorly. And the most important thing is I cannot fix them. And if I cannot fix them, if we cannot make them better, then it's not fair to keep them going. Do you see what I mean? Right, so let's see who else is watching. Izzy, hi Izzy and your family. Andy, your cat Harley died 3 or 4 years ago. Yes, it's true. We've all lost pets. We have. And that's the other thing. All these pets in these pictures have come from veterinary professionals. They've come from people who work in a vets. So every single one of us have lost our pets. Every single one of us know how you feel. And the situation, of course, for your pet and your family is always different and always individual. But it means that, when we bring your pets to us and when we help them to die, we understand what you are going through because we have all always been there ourselves. So Rosie's watching. That's great. Hi, Ellis. I hope you're enjoying it. Thank you so much for joining me again. Poppy's here. That's amazing. Great. I think we're up to speed now. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I hope this is going okay and you're not finding this too upsetting. And this is the thing about our pets. They live in the now. Our pets don't think about yesterday and they don't know about tomorrow. They just know about today and the now. So if they're poorly, but we know that tomorrow or the next day, because of the medicine and the treatment we're going to give them, they're going to get better, then that's okay. It's okay to be poorly today if tomorrow is going to be better. But if we know that they're not going to get better, and even with medicine and lots of care and attention, tomorrow will be the same as today, they will be poorly and painful and feel rubbish, then that's the other reason why we will say now is the time that the best thing for you to do is to die, because we know we can't make it better for you. We have to. It's a very hard decision to make, but it's really important one. And actually it's the kindest one as well, because we can take all that suffering and struggling away. We can take it away and we can mean that they're not suffering and struggling anymore, because we know they're not going to get better. They don't know that. And this is why those decisions are so important for us, for the adults in your life, really, and you as a family to make together. But it's also really important that we understand why we're making those decisions. And that is why. We have a saying in veterinary, better a week too early than a day too late. So I could have kept Millie going. She was still eating and she was still wagging her tail and she was still pleased to see me. She was such a cheerful dog. She was really happy. But it would have got to the point where she couldn't have moved at all and she would have sat on a cushion, and I could have brought her food and I could have cleaned up her toileting. But that's no way for a dog to live. That's not fair. And she would have suffered during that period of time. And like I said, they don't understand how long they live. They have no concept over the length of life. They don't have an ambition to get to 12 or 13 or anything like that. They just live in the moment and they enjoy life as they live it. So if we know they're not going to get better and we make that decision to be brave and to let them go, it's better to do that sooner rather than later, so they don't suffer and struggle any longer than they absolutely have to. Here's some of the other ways that you might have heard the word euthanasia described. I'm using words like dying and death and euthanasia today because it's really, really important that you guys understand what I'm talking about and you know what I'm talking about. But you will hear it described in different ways. So a really common way is we'll say we'll put the animal to sleep. And they do go to sleep when we euthanize them, but then that sleep, it gets deeper and deeper and deeper and they die. So they're not just going to sleep and never waking up, they're going to sleep and then they are dying. Put down, that's another one. We're not picking them up and putting them down. It's another way of saying euthanasia. And this one is one of my favorites. You might see this on cards or in poems. It's called Crossing Rainbow Bridge. Oh, I love this one. And it's the way we describe them going to heaven. So, but the most important thing, and this is the message I'm trying to get across today, is it's all about our pets' quality of life. For them, life should be a joy. It shouldn't be a struggle. It shouldn't be difficult. It shouldn't be painful. They shouldn't be thirsty or hungry or tired. It should be joyful. They haven't got anything to worry about. They haven't got a job. They don't have to go to school. They don't have homework to hand in. They just need to love their lives. And as long as we make sure that our pets are at the center of every decision we make around their quality of life, then we will make the right one that is the right one for them. Because every pet is different, every family is different, and every situation is different. But if we remember that our pets are the most important thing and we keep them in the center of every decision we make, we will always make the right one. But if we are lucky enough, and I consider it lucky, if we know that our pets' lives are coming to an end and that we know they've only got a few days left before we have to say goodbye, how can we make that time special? Why not let them do all the things that they always wanted to do? And you can do lots of special things and you can make lovely memories of that time. So you can look back and think of the last few days of their lives and you can think, well, wasn't it a lovely time? We knew something sad was coming, but they had a great time at the end. And you guys can do things like that at home. So maybe you can let them eat all their favorite foods. Millie had an awful lot of cheese in her last few days because she loved cheese above all things. That's often how we got her medicine into her. So we didn't hide tablets in the cheese. We just gave her cheese and she was so happy. Maybe you could take them on a trip to their favorite place. So you could go for a walk if they are able to walk. You can take them out one last time to their favorite place. If you're lucky enough to live very near a beach, maybe it's there. Maybe it's the local wood. Maybe it's just a poodle to the end of the road and back to sniff at the grass and see all the other dogs that have been by. But something, could take them out for a special trip. And of course, take lots of pictures with you and your family so you have something to remember them by. Just like all the people who gave me the pictures for this did with their pets. So as a vet, how do I help animals to die? What happens in that process? Again, you might find this a bit upsetting and you're welcome to turn off at any point, but I think it's kind of scary to think, well, how do you do it? How does it happen? And people worry, is it painful? Is it stressful? Are they going to be sad? No. Euthanasia is a good death. It is an overdose of an anaesthetic. Anaesthetics are the drugs that we use to put them to sleep for an operation. But of course, with an operation, they wake up. With this, they don't. But the feeling for them is just the same as going to sleep like they normally do. Curled up on your knee on the sofa, in their basket at night, they know no different. It's not painful and it's not stressful in any way. They just close their eyes, they drift away, and their heart stops. Generally, we give the medicine via injection into a vein in the leg. So what will happen is normally there's a vet and a nurse, our wonderful veterinary nurses, give your pet a good cuddle. They hold the leg still for the vet, and we give them an injection into the vein in one of the front legs normally, sometimes in a back leg. And so there's a teeny tiny scratch of a needle, and then that's it. It's not painful, and it's over very quickly. Sometimes we can sedate them first, and that means we give them an injection or we give them some medicine and they go into sort of like a really deep sleep. So they are asleep and they would wake up. And that means that when we give them the final injection, they don't feel it at all. Sometimes with cats, we inject them into their tummy, especially if they're old and they're a bit skinny. But however we do it, it's an overdose of anaesthetic. It's peaceful, it's pain-free, and it's really quick. And they just drift away. So who else have we got? Oh, lots of people watching. Oh, that's great. Oh, Laura, your nana's dog died. Yes. Yeah, the animals don't necessarily need to live with us for us to miss them, do we? They're part of our family, whether they live in our home or whether they live in someone else's home. We love them just as much. Gabriel, Eva, Benedict, and I want to say Orla. I hope that's pronounced right. Orla are watching. Hi. So thank you ever so much, very much for tuning in, guys, because I know this isn't an easy one to talk about. So when your pet does go to the vet to be euthanized, should you be with them? So it's a very personal decision whether you want to stay with your pet at that very final moment or not. And it's something that you should discuss with the adults in your life. If nobody wants to go with them, if the adults don't want to either, then that's absolutely fine. Your veterinary, I'm very used to people not staying with their animals, to give them a good kiss and a cuddle and to leave them with me. That's okay. We give them lots of kisses and cuddles for you. And remember, they don't know what's happening. They don't know that that's the last time they're ever going to see you. So they're not distressed or worried. And that's the most important thing. However we deal with this situation, however we do it, as long as we make sure that our pets are calm and quiet and relaxed, that's the most important thing. Especially if you're younger, I do think that it's often better to say a lovely goodbye at home, to feed them lots of cheese, whatever their favorite is, and then let them go to the vet with an adult. But if you particularly want to be there, that's good. That's great. You can come. You'd be very welcome. Just chat to your vet first about it. But the most important thing is, if you are there, it's really important you stay calm and that you stay brave, because it's upsetting. It's upsetting to know that they're going to die. But remember, they don't know that. They don't know what's happening. They don't understand. They just know they're at the vet's with you or without you. But if you get upset, if you start to cry or you start to get worried about it, then they're going to get worried and they're going to think, well, what's wrong? Why are you sad? Let me make you better. Is there something to be sad about? And that can make it harder for the vet to do their job, and it can make it more stressful for your pet. So if you do decide you want to be with them, it's really important you stay really brave. You can cry after they're gone. You can cry while it's happening, but you need to try to stay as calm and as brave as possible yourself. And sometimes that's better. That's why it's better to just say goodbye at home and to let them go to the vets. And how will you feel? So how do you feel when your animals die? Well, everybody feels differently. Everybody's going to feel sad. I guess most people are going to feel sad, but we're all going to feel a bit different. And however you feel is fine. Everybody is an individual. Everybody is different. We're all going to cope with this differently. So whatever you feel is normal and fine. And you mustn't ever feel like you need to bottle it up or you're silly for crying or anything like that. How you deal with it is how it should be dealt with. Okay, so there is no right or wrong way to grieve. And grieve is the word we use when we feel sad that something has died. You might feel sad that they've gone and you won't see them again. I feel really sad that Millie's gone. I'm sad I'll never see her again. But I'm happy because I know that she's not in any pain anymore. And I know that she's okay. And I know that I made a decision that stopped her pain. So I'm very sad she's gone. But I'm happy that I did it, and I'm happy for that decision. So that's what's weird, because you feel sad and you feel happy at the same time, and that can be kind of a difficult one to deal with. You might feel angry, if they died in an accident and they were kind of young. You might feel cross about it, or you might feel angry that other people have still got their pets and you don't have yours, and that's okay as well. It's okay to feel emotions that are all over the place at this point. You might feel happy that they're no longer in pain or are suffering, which, like I say, can seem a bit weird. I feel happy that Millie isn't in pain anymore, but it is a bit strange because I'm also really sad. And sometimes your emotions come and go, and you might feel sad really unexpectedly. You feel sad on the day or maybe the day after, but then some people who don't have pets will be like, okay, it's time to get over it now. It's just a dog. It's never, ever, ever just a dog or just a cat. Our pets are our family members. We love them. They're part of our lives. So sometimes you might feel fine for a week and then suddenly go for a walk or pass a shop or see something that reminds you of your pet, and you feel sad or you feel funny all over again, and that's okay. So they're going to come and go. It's not like there's a time frame to this. 2 days, whoop, we're done. It can come and go. And crying is really normal for both grown-ups and for children. So I cried when Millie died. Lots of people, when I euthanize their pets, most people cry, and that's okay. And sometimes they say, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm crying. And I said, no, you must cry. It's really normal to cry and to express our emotions in that way. Try to remember and try to get that sadness and think about how happy your pets made you, and be grateful that they were in your lives. Even if we only own them for a short period of time, or if we own them for 17 years, like I did with Millie, I am so grateful I had her in my life because she was a wonderful dog. Talking about those feelings is important as well. Whether you're sad, whether you're happy, whether you're guilty, whether you're angry, it doesn't matter. But what really, really important is that you talk to somebody about it. And even if it's weeks down the line and you suddenly have a question, what about this or that? Or, oh, I'm feeling a bit sad today. You must talk to somebody. Talk to your parent or your guardian or your friends. It's really important we don't bottle up those feelings inside. It's really important you ask questions. These two little boys are walking their dog for the final time. This was their final walk that they went on. They went to a field behind their house where the doggy lived. They couldn't go very far, but they had a wonderful time outside. I love this picture and that story. And you can chat about your pet anytime. Our memories and our thoughts and our feelings never go away. We never forget them. And how can we remember them? We're not going to forget them, but it's nice to do something specific to remember them by as well. So this little doggy had a princess tea party, which I think is marvellous. And they got some beautiful pictures to remember him by, and to remember that lovely moment of dressing up and having fun. Even though he was very old and he was going to die, he had a great time at the tea party. So here are some of the things that you could do, but you can do whatever you fancy. So you could draw pictures or write stories about your pet. If you're a good artist, that's wonderful. If you're a storyteller, that's fabulous. And it doesn't have to be a brilliant picture or a brilliant story. It just has to be something that you have done about your pet. So here's a great picture of a guinea pig, and they framed it and put it on the wall. I've got framed pictures on the wall of my pets. You could create a memory box. So you could get a shoebox and decorate it, put pictures in there, things that remind you of their pet, of your pet, and keep it. And then when you feel sad or when you want to remember them, you can go to the memory box and get all those bits and bobs out and have a look and remember them again. We never forget them. You could hold a remembrance service. So when humans die, we have something called a funeral. And that's where everybody gets together and we celebrate their lives and we talk about them and we remember them. And we can do that for our pets as well. You don't have to go to a church or anything special. You can do it in the garden or in the living room. Just hold a little remembrance service. Share your favourite stories and your memories of your pet. A way of celebrating their lives, but also recognising that their lives are over and that they are gone now. Plant a flower or tree, maybe that flowers around their birthday. We had a cat that died. He was called Charlie. And he was he was brilliant. He was a brilliant cat and he died quite young. So we had him cremated and we had his ashes returned to us. And we planted them in a great big planter and planted a tree on top. Because we lived in a house at the time where we knew we weren't going to stay forever. And I didn't want to plant him in the garden and leave him behind. So we put him in the planter and we've still got it now in our next house. So maybe something that flowers around their birthday or flowers around their favourite time of year, something that just reminds you of them. Maybe you could put a little memorial stone there. I don't know if you've done like the pebbles that people paint a lot now and varnish. You could make some of those and put them in the garden as well. Or what about making a Christmas bauble? I love this idea. Making a bauble so every year their bauble comes out and hangs on the tree and then you never forget them. And then they celebrate that really wonderful time of year with you. There's loads of different things. Here are some more. You can have, so when pets are euthanized, they are then cremated, which means their bodies are burned. And what you have left over is ashes. It's like kind of like dust. And you can have that dust made into jewelry. So there's some rings here and another ring there and a ring in that one as well. So you can make jewelry out of them, like a beautiful keepsake. Or you can see that we've got a paw print in that top corner. In my practice, when we euthanize pets, we always make a paw print in ink, put it in a card and give it to their owner. So they've got that to remember them by. Ask your vet if they do that. Most practices do something like that. Or you can have beautiful pictures drawn of them to hang on the wall. Lots and lots of different ways that we can remember our pets. But here is the final fact. Animals don't live as long as people. None of them do. And eventually all of us are going to have to say that final goodbye to our pets. If we're lucky, it will be after a long and wonderful life. If we're not so fortunate, they might not have lived so long. But as long as their life was a joy and a happiness when they were with us, that is the most important thing. It is normal to feel sad and to cry and to grieve. And that sadness can last quite a long time and it can be an up and down journey, and that's okay. Feeling sad for children and for grown-ups is really normal. But try to turn that sadness into happiness and happy memories by remembering all the happy times that you had and all the love that you shared and how lucky you were to have your pet in your life, and also how lucky they were to have you as an amazing person in their life as well. So thank you very much for listening. Now, this is the point where I would probably shut my computer down, but I had so many pictures that were shared with me. I just had to share them all and I couldn't leave any one of them out. So here's some more of those animals that people shared with me. So every single one of these animals was loved so much that they had loads of pictures. And then when I said, has anyone got a picture of an animal that is no longer with us that they'd like to share? Honestly, I got so many. So I'm going to read a few of the comments now. So Margaret, your vet sent you a card and some forget-me-not seeds, and that's lovely. Forget-me-nots are a beautiful plant, and of course, exactly the message that we want. Sue bought a pink lady apple tree for her bunny because it was his favourite, and now she gets apples off the bunny's tree every year. Well, I mean, isn't that wonderful? You can eat an apple and remember your pets. Anybody else? Oh, Lee, thank you. Oh, and I got Orla's name right. That's great. Right. And here's another page of pets. And like I said, these all come from veterinaries. So we know exactly how you feel about your animals. We feel exactly the same, and we feel just the same levels of sadness when they leave us. Oh, Rose Lily, you're watching again. Oh, and Anya. Hello, Anya. Oh, thank you, Sophie. This is a really hard thing to talk about, but I think it is really important that we discuss it, particularly for you guys who are younger, to have it explained and talked about. It's really, really important, I believe. Oh, Lisa had to turn off, and that's cool. You don't have to, if you're still watching, that's wonderful. But like I said, I won't take offense if you didn't get this far. Right, I'm going to turn it off now, and I'm going to come back to you guys. So where are you? There you are. So thank you so much, everybody, for watching today. It is not an easy subject to talk about at all, but it's one that I think is really, really important. And if you have stuck around this long, thanks ever so much. And next week, we're going to be back doing something much more cheerful. We're going to be talking about puppies and kittens. So we're going to go right back to the other end of life, to the beginning of life, and we're going to talk about those pets that we have. Lots of us maybe have had pandemic puppies, or you're thinking about getting a new dog soon or a new cat, and we're going to talk about all the things you need to do at the beginning of their lives to help them settle into your family and give them the very best start. So as always, thank you so much for watching, everybody. I really, really appreciate all your support. This video will be up on YouTube and Instagram TV. If you've got any friends that aren't on Facebook, please like it, please share it, please tell everybody about it if you enjoyed it, and I will see you all next week. Bye.